All right, top right-hand corner, 2,000 atmospheres, playing for the Kwangdong Freaks. It's our red Zerg player, SOO.
I'm afraid my co-caster has fallen off a cliff, ladies and gentlemen, as in the bottom left-hand corner, his team of GPs RYUNG. We have fun here on Afrika, play.afrika.tv/alphax.
That's a lot of dots. I had to sit and rehearse that one for quite some time. Like the first time I ever cast on Afrika TV, it was like everything I could do to not say Twitch right out of the gate. It's like, oh shoot, okay. And now it's like, well then it's just Afrika TV. No, it's like play.afrikatv.com. It's extra different. So making
and
sure that
unlike Twitch, it's not .tv. It's just Afrika TV. So you gotta like.
Also true. Yeah, there's a whole lot of different things.
Listen, guys, casting is hard. It's not actually analyzing the games. It's remembering the pointless, like the kind of other information that's not related to the game. Is surprisingly difficult when you're focusing on the game.
Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. I'm having a great time. But I mean, all things aside, like this is like a super normal ZVT opening right now. So if you're panicked because they're not talking about the game, well, it's just like panic no longer. Right? Look at that. I got you covered here. We can watch this Reaper dance with these Zerglings all day long.
Do you think he's gonna get a Zergling, Rushi?
I think he is going to be destroyed. And that's just a prediction that I made ahead of time. I didn't just watch it unfold. I definitely knew. I knew. So
listen, we're not taste toasters, but we need to have our fun as well sometimes. You know, we gotta have our banter because this is a pretty standard opening. This is nothing crazy. You're gonna have Hellions coming out from RYUNG. Whoa! I'm shocked as there's the starport as well. But yeah, I think. It is interesting though when you are casting, especially like what I've found is if you don't really do your prep. So for instance, sometimes what you do is if you're going to be on like an ESL broadcast, or you're going to be doing an actual like a big event, you might have like some notes where you just write down information about the players, because it turns out when you're actually casting and your co-cast turns to ask you, well, talk to us about this matchup. It is so hard to remember the actual details. And so you just end up saying, yeah, this player's really good at this one matchup. And I think that, we're going to have to see if they can bring their form to the game today. And everyone's like, that's BS analysis.
Oh my God, how dare you? That's every time I'm asked that question. That is my exact response because I'm like, I don't remember what these guys do. They probably play good games and then make this happen. Oh, this is actually interesting here. Look at the Fight Club. Oh, that Hellion came into the wrong neighborhood. Only losing one drone there. That was actually a pretty decent response here for SOO, considering that could have gone a million different ways. But you are about to see a SOO going into roaches at the 4.5 minute mark. This is a very bold play.
So we were talking about everything being standard, but it wasn't. That was about a 330, 345 Roach Warren that SOO did put down. Now, RYUNG does have information on that. RYUNG knows that it's a Roach Warren, already had Banshees on the way. That was going to be his play anyway. So is kind of already ready to hard counter this build, and that doesn't make me quite worried here for SOO, as the Hellions are even going to get confirmation that the Roaches are coming across the map. They were not canceled, or that plan was not bailed on. And the Banshee's just going to come out and say, well, too bad for you. But we'll see how much damage the Roaches can get done regardless. The Banshee, it does not stop worker damage from happening. You will need to see the workers pulled away here, as the Roaches are going to try and find their way into the mineral line. But, I mean, RYUNG is already handling this very, very well. We're going to see the Roach focus fire here onto the SCVs. A few go down, as now focusing on the Marines. But 2 Banshees out just makes this even harder. I mean, you're going to focus down what? Yeah, not much more. 4 SCVs go down for 7 Roaches, and that is a disastrous opening for SOO.
Yeah, I'm trying to like rationalize in my head the choice of going into Roaches at that moment. I mean, if you want to go for the really early 3 Ravager timing, you're not going to hit at the 5 minute mark. I mean, you're going to hit well before that to try and capitalize on a small transition time for the Terran player, but instead, like you said, it was immediately into Cloak Banshee. That cloak is complete. So is this mineral line for all intents and purposes. The upside here is there is a Spore Crawler that will be able to spot, but I mean, that's a small silver lining here, because 9 drones already down. So that should be 8 in total. And then here comes the barbecue at the third base location. What gets picked up as well? 16! So 7 more in total. I mean, this is just going from bad to worse here for SOO.
I mean, you said that worker line was complete, but I think it was just decompleted there by RYUNG with the Banshees as the Hellions as well. 17 drones go down in Rushi. I don't play much Zerg, but I do happen to know that if you lose 17 drones before the 7-minute mark, you are not a happy camper.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I can tell you my secret response to this is just to like sit at my keyboard and cry for a little bit. But the really tricky part is to make sure that the tears don't get into your keyboard, because then you just like you have bigger problems to worry about. So yeah,
you know what they say.
SOO is trying to avoid the rainstorm here on his own keyboard, as he is playing down a significant amount of supply here. He's down 10, but it feels like RYUNG's going to have an opportunity to increase his army count as things continue moving forward here. Yeah, 130 to 115. This is a pretty decent army here. 1-1 is already complete. That is going to stem on forward and pick off a decent amount of creep tumors, and the Banshees will be able to help with protecting the siege tanks as they sit back behind the line. But this is already a difficult engagement here for SOO. He's making it even worse.
Yeah, the Marines are very low, though, but that Overseer's not in range of the Queen. SOO, no, you need the... Okay, there we go. It's finally going to bring the Banshees over to where there is detection, but even then, the Banshees are not quite going to go down. Finally, they will fall. Enough lanes have been built to maybe get on top of this, but that's right as the reinforcements arrive for RYUNG and SOO. You have to hold on to this 4th base if you want to have a chance in this game. This is really the only saving grace that he has, but he doesn't even have a flank set up. He doesn't have enough links to get a flank set up. And it looks like the 4th hatchery might just go down. It's going to get focus fired. The Lings are going to try and roll on in, but the Banelings don't find good connections. And the whole army is going to get absolutely eviscerated by the Marines. And a supply block just to boot here as RYUNG, he has the 1-1 bio. And he's going to be able to probably just stem this to win. The Roaches make it a little bit harder. But, I mean, this is already just so much damage in the early game. And I don't know if you could recover from this.
I mean, this is 31 kills between these 2 siege tanks total. And granted, it's mostly Zerglings, but that is still a sizable number to see in any regard. Meanwhile, SOO is just like hanging on for dear life here. He's lost out on a base. He is going to try and rebuild that 4th base location, but RYUNG is already on the move, trying to find his next target here. Good stem forward will start to pick up additional units here as the Lings for SOO going to try and find some damage here at the 3rd base location. They'll get a little bit, but that's not going to be near enough to say that you've counteracted the damage. So good Ravager Biles will pick up one of the tanks. That will be enough for RYUNG to back off, at least for now. But it seems to be RYUNG kind of settling in here, securing that 3rd base. He's got that 4th base underway. It's about halfway done. Infestation Pit as well for SOO coming in as, oh, okay, a little Baneling run by. Not going to get an entire amount here, but I mean, RYUNG has just held a supply advantage for so long in this game. You really want to avoid it happening at all, but for the majority of the last 5 minutes, that's a bit much here for SOO.
Ooh, and there's going to be a snipe on the 5th base. I don't even know if SOO's going to respond fast enough. Does not get the cancel. And that's just very, very unfortunate timing here for the Zerg player. And honestly, I would have liked to have seen Roaches as the initial response to the push. SOO didn't have his Baneling speed for a while, and so he was just trying to fight it with straight up Zerglings, and that was never going to work out. But of course, he doesn't even have the +1 ranged attacks for these Roaches and Ravagers. Going to try and defend on the right flank right now. There's just a smaller group of Marines, but even then, the stutter step is so good for RYUNG, who's currently sitting up 30 supply, making it a little bit more. Focus fire on the Banelings is good. Rosafile's going to push this army back, but again, the Banelings just getting focused. They're not even going to find some good connections until the final 2 go in, but here we go on the left flank as well. The Banelings just, they They don't get anything done. The splits are great. The pullback is great. RYUNG is going to be able to now push this location as well, and SOO is just constantly taking damage in every single location on this map. Another base is going to go down. That's 3 hatcheries killed now for RYUNG, who's working on 3-3. And I mean, tank production +2 for his tanks. Sure, there's a hive. There's going to be a singular Viper and adrenal glands, but I don't know if the Zerglings are going to be enough to save you from losing this game.
There finally does go that whole base, including creep tumors as well. I kind of want to go back at some point and take a look at that engagement here on the left-hand side. I think RYUNG might have actually killed off one of his own tanks, so this could possibly be a stilted push just by RYUNG's own right, but I mean, he did way more than enough here to justify the accidental misclick, as it seems like SOO wanted to try and maybe push the issue there, but thinks better of it and tries to relocate. And this is where RYUNG is going to really thrive. He's maxed out. His bank is going to start climbing here, even though the upgrades are going to slowly start moving their way in. RYUNG has an opportunity to just kind of push forward and really secure that final victory here. Tank coverage has just been impeccable this entire game. Banelings have had no opportunity to really make any sizable plays here, even while on creep. And SOO has to try and hold this base up here. He can't afford to lose yet another base, and here come the units streaming in. Banelings coming in from the right-hand side, staying in on the creep, and the tanks are going to connect with a large number of these Banelings, and that's never what you want to see as the Zerg player here. Suddenly, all of the Banelings are gone. Reinforcing lings are not going to be near enough, and the 3 Ravagers left behind are going to be insufficient damage here to close things out for SOO. I think that's going to mean RYUNG secures game number 1 and does it in a pretty confident style here over the Zerg player.
And so we head on to Glittering Ashes. Now, this is actually a pretty decent map pick. There we go. I can do words, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry. I can say things correct. I was going to talk about actual stats, and that just reminded me that I sometimes have minor dyslexia, and so I end up reading some words, or it's not necessarily that I read words wrong, but I will read a word, and I will think a different word in my head, and it is very disconcerting sometimes. It doesn't happen very often, but the few times that it does, I catch myself like, huh, that's weird. But alas, I am divulging. As I was saying, Glittering Ashes is actually a pretty decent map pick for Zerg, but on the Terran side, we've actually seen a lot of Terrans don't mind it, even though it is a very large map, and of course the rush distance here is not actually that long. The middle of the map is very open, so you're going to be sitting, I think, at around a, 15-second rush distance? It's really not altogether that long of a map. It is very wide, of course. The bases stretch diagonally left and right, and so there's a lot of space for expansions. As oh my, RYUNG actually is going to get a Zergling with that first Reaper. That is, I mean, obviously it's not crazy. You get a Reaper, or you get a Zergling with the Reaper. That is pretty, I mean, it just means good micro on the side of RYUNG. SOO not pulling that ling back just in time, but we've seen that a lot of Terrans actually will end up not minding this map, because while it is big, you can still do a lot with the timing attacks with the mid to late game and with finding consistent pressure. It's actually a hard map to really make Mutalisks work. There's a lot of open space in this base, so you're not really going to be able to abuse the SimCity of the Terran that badly, but we have seen games from players like Rogue who just get a massive muted transition, control it impeccably, and are able to win the game because the mutants get across this map even quicker than the ground units.
I mean, that was a really nice... yeah, I'll get you off the hook here. I'm back. That was actually a really nice exchange. It's so sad that I didn't even get a chance to see it. It's good to note as well that like the Reaper was able to get a Zergling, which is not incredible damage one way or the other, but picking off one of the opening creep tumors makes that very, very valuable, because that does slow things down. But look at SOO. Su's going for something a little funky here. Titan, he is going for an early lair. That lair is going to get spotted as well. It's largely 2-base lair right now, but there's no Vespene geysers at the natural. It's just 2 gases as it sits right now. So it's speculation time. What do we think is going to be coming out of this lair?
I mean, with only 2 gases, never mind. I was going to say it can't be Spire, but there we go. It's going to be the 2-base Spire. The 2 gases are put down after the fact. I think this was SOO just trying to delay those gases as much as possible so they couldn't get scouted by the initial Hellions of RYUNG, who did manage to snipe another one of those opening creep tumors. Does mean that this creep spread for SOO is going to be quite delayed compared to what you'd usually like as the Zerg. But I really don't mind the early Spire on this map. Again, as I said, it's a very, very large map, but it's also good for mutas. They can make their way across it very easily. There's a lot of dead airspace for them to sit in. And also, because the bases are so spread out, it's actually hard for the Terran to necessarily respond with the same clump of Marines just tracking them. They oftentimes have to have 2 groups, or at least a good response with rallied Marines in order to help deal with it. So we're going to see how much damage this can end up getting done, how much SOO is going to invest, especially in these mutas. Right now, it's probably going to look like 6 or so is going to be that first batch, and then we'll see if he continues to produce more, or if it's just going to be droning up off the back of that, maybe taking even a 4th base and getting into a very, very strong Lingbane Hydra or Lingbane Mutacon.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting here. I mean, the Baneling Nest finishing up as quickly as it is, that is possibly a leading factor. Yeah, and there actually goes the centrifugal hook. So this seems as if it's going to be Mutiling Bane for the foreseeable future. The biggest absence is the evolution chambers. So not seeing an opportunity to get into additional upgrades, which over the course of time could pose an initial problem. We will get +1 flyer attack, so that actually completely, if we had any doubts left at that point, all doubts may cease. We do have the Mutiling Bane composition underway. Now, this 3rd base is going to be a little bit exposed here. Oh, the Marines actually backing up for just a brief moment, but with 1 Viking left to handle the defense, I think that is going to be largely enough here to at least create a barrier to entry here for SOO. But RYUNG is an opportunity to stabilize at least a little bit. He has a decent amount of bio. The mines are going to start adding in some pressure as well. That's going to be one more thing for SOO to try and dodge back and forth. And armory is going to come down as well. So that's going to make those mines that much more difficult to see and maneuver around, on top of being deadly on their own.
Yeah, and I was actually looking to see what RYUNG, his vision was, and because I wanted to know, had he seen those gases, had he seen the Spire, and the answer to all that was no. But I think RYUNG just kind of assumed from when he saw that Baneling Nest go by, the lack of evolution chambers at the front, and also just the general timing, actually was like, all right, I can put down these missile turrets just to prepare for the potential of Mutalisks, and lo and behold, that was what SOO was going for. As we have 10 on the map right now, 2 more being added on to get up to 12 with the +1 flyer on the way, and those Evo chambers, as we were talking about that whole engagement, have been finally added on with the +1/+1 on the way, but it's going to be a while until it is ready, as the mutas are trying to get a bit antsy here for a fight. SOO obviously not, I think, the happiest that they didn't really get any damage done, but of course the mutas also have the benefit of being able to give you a pretty strong threat across the map if RYUNG does commit to a push like this, but SOO doesn't have them there just yet. Well, finally, yeah, isn't going to send them across. Ooh, Baling's rolling on in here. Don't find the best initial connections, are just going to roll back away. Have cleared out pretty much all of the Hellbats, though, which is a very good start here for SOO, as the splits coming through from RYUNG are just so quick.
Ooh. I mean, there's really good target fire on those Banelings as well. SOO not getting the engagement that he was looking for there on creep, having his centrifugal hooks and being a little bit faster because he's on creep. That should have been a much better engagement, but instead, that is going to be something he has to back away from. It is going to come at the cost of his additional creep spread elsewhere on the map. 4th base is currently underway as well, alongside the continued production here of Mutalisks. So Muta counts getting up to 19. This is a sizable force here that RYUNG is going to have to find a way to deal with. Eventually, bio might not be enough. The addition of Thors, the addition of more mines may be essential here. Ooh, a good dive here onto the missile turret, but a very, very good response on the repair. If you're able to respond as quickly as possible, you can keep that alive, even with 19 mutas in the flock. That's an incredibly strong position for RYUNG to hold on to.
Yeah, I think, the big thing here is, ooh, there we go. Going to be able to find the dive in now. He's kept all these mutalists alive, and retaining your muta count is extremely vital to this 2-base Spire opening. As he's only lost one, is going to be able to get up to 21 mutalists with that dive in. He's finally going to be able to snipe off 12 SCVs in total. So it's going to find some success, but now that's going to start to dwindle away. As Thors are on the way, I think additional missile turrets should be added in every base. We have only 2 in the main, 1 in the third. It's a bit low, just because there's the potential of that counterattack. And there we go, a second on that natural base. So RYUNG is going to make sure that he's going to be completely safe at home, because this muta count is getting quite scary. It's to the point where obviously you can dive on top of missile turrets, and once you get to around 26 or so mutalisks, you're not even really scared of 2 missile turrets at that, as that's going to be the sensor tower going down. And this is absolutely how you should be using these mutas, just to find picks around the map. Meanwhile, you're expanding behind it, getting stronger and stronger. And we should see SOO start to get a lot of those Vespene geysers to bring up his gas count for when he wants to transition into potentially Ultralisk or Lurkers, as this is just a massive commit in here for SOO. And he's trapped a lot of Marines behind the mineral line. That means that the 4th is most likely going to go down. More bins rolling on in. Oh, RYUNG, the splits do not come through. The base goes down. And there is still only, 4 mutas lost now, but SOO is absolutely happy with how that ended up turning out.
Oh, he got the base, he got the workers, he got so many of those Marines as well. Feels like SOO was, or RYUNG rather, was so focused on protecting that planetary fortress that he didn't realize there were additional banelings rolling in from the right-hand side. So that costs him a pushback potential, and now suddenly SOO maxed out here. RYUNG 164, trying to restabilize his army forces and trying to restabilize his economy once again. Gonna lose that sensor tower an additional time. Another base has to be canceled. This base has been scouted out for quite some time, so there's no secret 4th base being put in right now. SOO is in a wonderful position this game.
Yeah, this is what you really like to see here from SOO. He's going to commit on in again. He's maxed out, and he's just going to try and find as much damage as possible. Some amazing Widowmine drags there. It's going to be the mineral line going down. Ooh, the muta's getting a bit close for comfort, but the banelings still find amazing connections. And SOO is just rolling over RYUNG's army. And I think this is the main reason why you don't see a lot of Terrans pick this map, is just the strength of the Ling, Bane, and Mutalisk.
One last game here in this series. I'm a bit surprised. SOO's not afraid to pull out really, really early aggression, especially against opponents that he's playing rather close to. So I will say that I'm a bit surprised that we haven't seen any early pools or proxies or any pulls at this point. It appears as if that will remain the case in game number 3 here. RYUNG, though, continuing to play standard as well. Both players just the honorable agreement. If you don't cheese me, I won't cheese you, man. Let's just see who brings the best games and can advance on.
Yeah, absolutely. This isn't Amaru. We're not going to see a game 3 or a game 2 proxy 2 racks. Just utter disrespect of the opponent. Although, of course, that's just how Maru plays. So it's not really disrespect. It's just Maru saying, hey, I'm going to play you like I play everybody else. Which I guess is kind of the upside of being just a naturally cheesy player, is that when you cheese someone, they don't take offense to it.
Yeah, it's hard to determine one way or the other, because there's the oh, I'm not gonna waste my time playing this game with you. I'm just gonna cheese you. But also, there's the idea of, well, I don't think you can beat me in a 20-minute game, so let's just sweat this out together, and I'll just get some good practice in. So I can see both sides of the respect disrespect argument here, but I think it's very safe to say that both of these players are showing a healthy amount of respect for each other in this game 3.
Yeah, and of course, with it being day 2, you don't really want to risk going to that round 2 after this, where you just have that one last shot, you would like to advance as quickly as possible. And we'll see if that's going to be available, or if that's going to be the case here for SOO or RYUNG. Which one is going to be able to make the best out of the situation? And a nice trap there onto the Reaper. Not managed to get the kill, though. And RYUNG's opening as standard as ever. If you are surprised that RYUNG is going double Hellion production into a Cloaked Banshee, then you have not watched a lot of RYUNG games, because this is like the bread and butter Terran opening, that it will get you very solid map presence early on, harassment options, as well as a decently timed third base.
It's a standard opening. I mean, Cloak for Banshee. Banshee's with the Cloak. Banshee in the Cloak. I don't know. Different ways I can say that.
But Rushi.
The
Banshee is a vehicle. How does it wear a cloak?
Okay, you've been casting with Behemoth a bit too much lately. We're gonna have to like dial back the cheeky jokes here. Like his influence is ever expanding here.
There's 2 of them now.
Oh no!
You couldn't handle one.
Oh no! I mean, this is pretty good, solid standard play. Sorry, did you have one more thing?
Well, I was gonna say it's funny because when Bayo and I cast together, if anyone watched the ESL streams or the ESLB stream that we did together, we both reach a point where we kind of like are at the starts of games and we realize, listen, we can just kind of talk about whatever we want. That's the power that we have. And we both have very similar senses of humor, so it does get a little bit crazy. There may be 2 of us.
Oh no! Well, that just makes it more work for me to keep the whole clan glued together. I can shoulder that responsibility. I'm ready. I'm ready to protect the world from devastation and to unite all peoples within our nation. But the reality of the fact is we do have a Banshee coming in here. Only one this time around for RYUNG, so not going to have the double devastation effect that 2 Banshees would have. But still rather annoying. Still 100% something that SOO has to deal with. There are Spore Crawlers in the main, in both of the expansion bases here. So this Banshee is going to get a little bit of hit damage. 1 drone has gone down so far. There's the second Banshee. I was wondering where the second one had floated off to. It's going to do a double prong over at the natural as well. But other than that, I mean, RYUNG's kind of laying back for right now.
Yep, and we should be able to see it. I mean, 2 drones go down. Overall, you're pretty happy with this as the Zerg. And we immediately see SOO, knowing that his position in this game macro-wise is going to be very solid, pop down 2 additional hatcheries, 1 macro and 1 for his 4th base. And I gotta say, we saw that game 2, SOO not taking a lot of damage in the early game. This, I think even more so, a very, very solid opening, mitigates most of the early threat. And as the Zerg, I mean, you're already at 70 workers at 6 minutes in. You're pretty happy here. And at this point, I think we should start to see SOO head towards at least... very nice pick off there in the changing. Start to head towards just constant unit production in order to protect his 3rd and 4th from the eventual push that will come out across this map from RYUNG.
Ooh. 11 Banelings on the production tab here. The creep spread's actually remarkable as well. I mean, really getting a nice grip of his side of the map and starting to push the center lanes as well. That's going to give him lots of really important intel as RYUNG's going to start shoving up the center. These queens are being brought into as well. Oh, the blah, 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 the minerals. Minerals have been cleared. That's going to give a really good attack angle here. The Lings and the Bane's going to come in on the left-hand side. Queen's trying to bait this army forward. That siege tank knows better. It's not going to linger around too long. The Queen's getting some decent transfuses there, at least in the short term. The long term, a couple do end up falling. But RYUNG now knows he has to split a little bit more efficiently here, as Banelings are going to be able to come in from multiple different angles as tanks continuing to reinforce as well. RYUNG finally in a position where he's going to be able to start pushing forward and pressuring down that 3rd base location. A scan to try and clean up some creep tumor is going to be really important on top of it, but RYUNG is in such a strong enough position that SOO is having a difficult time really finding a way to engage here, and it's starting to feel like maybe he might just hang back, but he's starting to lose a few more queens.
Yeah, I mean, look at this pre-split. You almost got to zoom all the way out just to see how deeply RYUNG has split his Marines, is pushing his tank line forward ever so slowly, and the loss of those few Queens definitely was a big part of this. The fact that they're taking so much damage, the transfusion energy is now gone. You know, the Zerglings, they're the main thing that's going to be able to stop this from happening, as finally SOO is going to commit on in, but look, RYUNG is already ready. Has to split back the Marines, does a good job to focus fire onto a few clumps of Banelings, and everything is gone for SOO. As RYUNG just making this 2-base power push work. He is on 5 barracks, and he is pretty much all in right now.
No, I mean, he is all the way in. This is starting to become a crisis moment here for the blue Zerg player. He has to find a way to stop these tanks from advancing forward, or else he is going to be sent down to another different bracket, but there's so much little he can do here at this base as Banelings are getting picked off, getting target fired one at a time. This tank has been the hero. 22 kills before it gets taken down, and it's still alive. One Queen finally sacrifices herself to make it happen, but the drones get pulled off of the line. This is damage that SOO cannot afford to allow happen. The base will finally get tapped down, and now those Marines starting to move on in to the natural base expansion. Titan, this is starting to look bad for our Zerg player.
Yeah, and I think SOO just didn't quite read this well enough. I mean, the 3rd base never came down for RYUNG. You have to expect it to be this 2-base pressure, and SOO just did not have enough to defend against the 5 racks. The splits are good enough. And with that, the last few bastions of hope for SOO are going to fall. GG, RYUNG gets a bit aggressive in Game 3 to advance himself on the 2nd season of Code S.